Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Dawood Yasin. I'm coming to you from Zaytuna College. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, we'll start off with a dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf anbiya wa mursaleen Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam tasliman kathiran ya Rabbil Alameen. اللهم افتح علينا فتور العارفين وفقنا توفيق الصالحين وفعنا اللهم بالقرآن والذكر الحكيم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا وجهك الكريم يا رب العالمين اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا اللهم أعذنا من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا واصلح أمورنا كله لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا يا رب العالمين Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, we thank Allah for this opportunity that we have been given, this opportunity of life. Mashallah, with all that we are seeing around us and those that are ill and those that are have passed, we really want to be intentional and be grateful for this opportunity that we have, of life. Just to be very frank, there were two people that are very close to me yesterday, or a family that was close, and others that were close who lost family members yesterday. So again, and whoever is enduring some sort of loss or is enduring some sort of hardship, we ask Allah to bring ease, to that hardship, and we ask Allah to give patience for anyone that has lost someone recently. As I said the other night in our session, that we're in a experiencing a Ramadan in which is like no other. We find ourselves separated physically, but alhamdulillah, this is something that I love, that I took from my travels, that a scholar said, al-qulub muttasila, right? Al-qulub muttasila, that the hearts are connected irrespective of space. And, alhamdulillah, I really, really want to thank MCC and the community to have the foresight to think about the needs of others. Alhamdulillah, through the grace of Allah, people's physical needs, MCC takes care of. They, alhamdulillah, through the program of the zakat program that they have, they're taking care of people's needs financially, alhamdulillah. And obviously, through all of the program that they have through the year, they are addressing people's spiritual needs as well. And tabarakallah, just because we are not able to be together physically, it's a real blessing that they have continued to take care of people's spiritual needs, through this platform. There's a few things that happened that I wanted to talk about. Something that just really caught my attention. I want to just really think about in this way of thinking of it as us being by a most generous guest. Just kind of set this up for a moment. It's a guest that we get to host for once a year, for the duration of a month. The guest arrives at a time, the guest leaves at a time, and the guest brings these amazing gifts, right? Allah's mercy, His generosity, and the guest disperses the gifts to whoever avails themselves to it, whoever makes themselves ready for it. And I think this is that, beautiful hadith, Man sama Ramadan من صام رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. And that the one who fasts this month, and then also man qama Ramadan. And I heard Imam Zayd talk about this in a commentary by saying that it's that there is each night there is a portion of the night that is given, and the person is expecting a reward from this. So alhamdulillah, insha'Allah, you know, even the fact that we're not able to be in the masjid, that we've been able to, you know, fulfill this Taraweeh obligation with our families, which is a blessing. And then you've heard Shaykh Hamza and others talk about it before, that this is also the amal of Ahl Medina, that this is the action of the people of Ahl Medina before, and Imam Zayd talking about it before that. You know, Umar radiallahu anhu gathered the Sahaba to pray behind a single Imam. So alhamdulillah, it's turned to part of this relationship in our home, and relationship with each other, you know, in a way that we haven't experienced it in the past. Inshallah, it's a means for all of us to draw nearer, alhamdulillah. And as I said, this gift, going back to this, these deeds, as we said, they help us draw nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to His pleasure, and to the garden. This guest bringing us actions that distance us from the hellfire, protecting us from shaitan and all of his whispers, all of the whispers of shaitan. Alhamdulillah, bringing us a fragrance of the garden. May Allah allow us to experience that spiritually, and bring our heart to life, and the you know, relationship with Him during this month. Alhamdulillah, our homes are filled with ibadah, and the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just a blessed time. It's a time of reflection, of renewed spiritual commitment. And that's something that I want to just stop at a moment and just mention, that a time of renewed spiritual commitment. Now, I was speaking to a friend the other day, and what he said that he loved so much about Ramadan was that Ramadan it showed him who he can be. He said that it's like Allah shows me who I can be, but I choose not to be that person during the rest of the year. And I don't say that in a way for it to put shame upon any of us, or for it to be a means of downing any of us, but rather it highlights the potential of who we can be. And I think that's something that we should really think about and really look at in this month, because, okay, maybe I can't retain everything that I've been able to do in this month after Ramadan ends, and that's okay. But the idea is that it's an incremental progress, that I'm better after Ramadan 2018 than I was in 17. I'm better in Ramadan 2019 than I was in 2018, and better in Ramadan 2020 than I was in 2019. You get my point? So we're constantly moving on this path with progress to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we're not moving backwards, right? That's what we want to ensure that this Ramadan brings for us. And as I said, it brings this renewed spiritual commitment, right? It's a month of charity for the under-resourced, and having solidarity with those that are underserved. And as I spoke about on Thursday night, of how the tradition, as I said yesterday, the verse that we talked about the other day, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا هُوَ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. In the verse in Surah Yunus, we talked about that verse the other night, and what I said was that, you know, the commentators Abu Sa'id and Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, that they said that the Quran was the fadl and that rahmah was Islam, and we can't really understand the realities of these things, right? We can't understand the reality of this Ramadan. It's different than an intermittent fasting, except for that we are experiencing it through being Muslim, right? Through Islam. Now, you know, one of the things that I was thinking about here about the solidarity of the underserved is that, you know, the first time that I became the first time that I fasted, obviously, when I was Muslim, I took my shahada just before the Eid al-Adha, and so Yom Arafat was coming, and the Imam had mentioned that, you know, you fast this day, it'll be atonement for sin. So alhamdulillah, I fasted that day. And I can honestly say that, you know, there were times when we were, you know, younger, we would say, oh, that we're hungry, or, you know, I'm starving, you know, and my mother would forbid me from saying that. She said, you're not starving, right? There are people in the world who are starving. You're not starving. So, but this idea when fasting in South Africa for this day, and you know, not really knowing much or anything actually about a fast, someone just told me, you know, you have to eat before sunrise, and you have to finish, you know, when the sun sets. So alhamdulillah, we took upon that day, but it was taxing, and that's when I feel you really get to know what the reality of hunger could be. And it was a day for me. But what happens when it's someone else's reality? That's why I say that this month, really for me, coming into the mercy, coming into this rahmah that Allah talks about in Surah Al-Yunus, that it gave me an appreciation and an understanding and an experiential way of what that means. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. Right? And what I wanted to say, you know, in this point is that, you know, we hear in this hadith from Salman Farsi, he talks about the Prophet ﷺ telling him that Ramadan is coming, and he tells him a bunch of things about the month here. He says to him, right, we're in the last days of Sha'ban. This is Salman al-Farsi radiallahu anhu. He says that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells him that he addressed us on the last days of Sha'ban, and he said that, oh people, a great blessed month has come upon you, the month containing Laylatul Qadr, which is better than 1,000 months, and may Allah, you know, allow us to attain that, right? May Allah bless us in the remaining days and nights of Ramadan, and allow us to reach, right? وَبَلِغْنَا Laylatul Qadr. May Allah allow us to make it to the night of power, insha'Allah. He then also said that Allah has made fasting during an obligation, and steadfastly observing the nights of worship a voluntary act. Who undertakes an act of obedience during this month of the righteous deed, it is as if he has performed an obligatory act of other times, and whoever performs an obligatory act during this times has performed 70 obligations at other times. So again, just okay, we know these things. It's a month of patience, sabr, and the reward for patience is paradise. Alhamdulillah. It is a month of will, during provisions are multiplied. We know that. Now, what I want to mention here, the Prophet ﷺ continued in telling Salman Farsi that whoever feeds a fasting person will be compensated with forgiveness of sins and salvation of his soul from hell. Let's say that again. Whoever feeds a fasting person will be compensated with forgiveness of sins, and salvation of his soul from hell. He will also receive a reward equal to that person he feeds without causing him any reduction in his deeds. The companion said, Ya Rasulullah, not all of us can find something to feed a fasting person. And the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah gives this reward to whoever feeds a fasting person, even with just a taste of milk or dates or a drink of water, meaning that just something that we would consider as insignificant. Can you imagine that for a moment? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we talk about this, the mercy of this month, the mercy of Allah, and how it is exponential in the month of Ramadan. The person, let's go back to this, whoever feeds a fasting person will be compensated with forgiveness of sins and salvation from his soul from hell. Ya Rasulullah, not all of us can feed the fasting person. Prophet ﷺ consoles them. And that advice is a consolation to us as well too, consoling us, don't worry about it. Even if you have a taste of milk or a date or a drink of water, that's what you will do. Whoever quenches the thirst of a fasting person, Allah Ta'ala make him drink from the hawd. Ya Allah, allow us to drink from the hawd of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on that day. Allah, so this is the hadith is continuing. Whoever quenches the thirst of a fasting person, Allah the Almighty makes him drink from my pond, such that he will never feel thirsty again until he enters paradise. It's a month whose beginning is mercy, whose middle is forgiveness, and whose end is emancipation or liberation from hell. Now, I wanted to mention this because coming in, I thought I was going to talk about something else, but then I received a message from a friend on WhatsApp, and it just impacted me in a way that I had to speak to this. Some friends have started an organization in Kenya, and maybe you have seen it on my social media the past few days. I put it up there, which is called Birds of Paradise, which is feeding people, orphans in Kenya, rural Kenya, and laborers and other people that are just extremely vulnerable at any time of the year. Forget the situation that we're in right now, but at any time of the year. And he posted a news story, and the news story was a commentator who was telling a story that they covered, and they went to a village and they spoke to a woman who had placed stones in a pot and boiled them and continued to boil them until she lulled her children to sleep. She was a mother of 8 and she was 60 years old, widowed, no running water in her house and no electricity. Now, we have a similar story such as this, as a Sahabi comes to the Prophet ﷺ and he says that he is hard pressed by hunger. And the Prophet ﷺ asks someone from the Nsour of who will give food to this person. Someone from the Nsour steps up and says that we will feed them, Ya Rasulullah, we have little food. And you know the story. The story is that they continue cooking until the children are lulled to sleep without eating, and they then put out the food for this Sahabi. He turns out the light, and he does not take from the plate, and the Sahabi is able to eat his fill. Now, the reason why I wanted to mention this, and again, it's just I'm actually overwhelmed emotionally by this story, and because simultaneously the friend also sent me, and I don't say, I'm not sharing this so that there's any type of guilt, and all that we have is from the hikmah, from the wisdom of Allah, and it's from the adl of Allah, it's from the justice of Allah, and it's from obviously the decree of Allah of everything that we possess. But I only say this to highlight the opportunities that exist for us to do good. And because simultaneously the person also sent me a picture of what the impact was, and it was a picture of all of these students, mostly females, orphans, there were males as well too, laid out with a meal in front of them in this enormous room, and they said that this picture is a picture of what the support looks like, and it just made me think about this hadith in this context, and it made me think about this year in particular, last year, when we were on Umrah with people, and they said that they didn't understand. They said that they didn't understand Allah's mercy of what it meant to give a date with ikhlas and have it returned as the Jabal of Uhud in gold, until they stood in front of Jabal Uhud and saw how big the mountain was, and then understood experientially what mercy and generosity looks like from Allah. So I think about this, and I mention this hadith, as I said, because I know that MCC is one of the foremost communities in giving, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to inspire all of you to give. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has moments, insha'Allah, where we realize what our realities look like for recipients. Because so many times we may give to organizations and we may give to programs, and we don't really understand the impact and what is it like for some person who has had a hardship removed from him. And then we find the hadith that says that the one who removes a hardship for someone in this world, that Allah will remove hardship for them in the next world. What does that really mean? And I just pray that this will be something that will continue to motivate us to give in a manner in which we continue to give. Now, obviously this year has been a hardship for many people on various fronts. But the thing that continues to impress me about this ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that I was speaking to the organizers of Launch Good, which is a Muslim giving platform, and they said that as of last Saturday, which was the 8th day of Ramadan, that people had committed and had donated more in 8 days than they did in the entire Ramadan of last year. And it is such an honor to be in a community that has that type of commitment to, when they are feeling hardship and enduring hardship within themselves, and everybody is collectively, but yet that doesn't deter people from continuing to give. Right? And that becomes our foundation. Again, let me mention it to you. Whoever feeds a fasting person will be compensated with forgiveness of sins and salvation of his soul from hell. He will also receive the reward of that fasting person. Now you have to go into what are those rewards, right? 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 So every action of the children of Adam is his, except for fasting, and that's mine. And that's for me. And I will compensate the person for that on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So that compensation, of which we have no idea of what that is, that Allah is giving us access to that by our generosity and by our giving. And I just think, again, going back to this verse from Surah Yunus the other day, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا that say that through this grace and through this mercy, say through this Quran and through Islam, that let them rejoice. Tell them, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell them, let them rejoice through this, because it is better than what the dunya amasses. Now, what I had just said here, that to be compensated with forgiveness of sins, salvation from the hellfire, and from having a reward of the person that is fasting, all of that from a $30 donation or a $10 donation. I mean, that's the grace that is just so amazing and so beautiful, with this month of Ramadan. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, insha'Allah, that, if we think about this, and we don't maybe have to go as far as rural Kenya, but just to think about this in any aspect, that we really commit ourselves, commit our family, commit our homes, that insha'Allah that we are people that are committed to not wasting food. And again, the ayat that's in Quran that you always hear me mention in Ramadan, and insha'Allah will continue to mention it, insha'Allah, till we get this, right? Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya bani Adam, khudhu zinatakum 'inda kulli masjid wa kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرِفِينَ, that Allah says, O children of Adam, adorn yourselves with the when you enter into the places of worship, and eat and drink, and do not be excessive, and do not waste, for Allah does not love those who waste. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow this month to be one in which we show generosity to others, because one, we want to remove a hardship for other people in this world. We want Allah to remove a hardship for us in the next. We want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower us with forgiveness. We want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have that be a means of salvation and liberation for our soul on the day of rising, and that we are, alhamdulillah, gifted to have a reward commensurate to the person that is fasting. So again, whatever organizations that you are affiliated with, whatever giving that you are able to do, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspire us through His generosity, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspire us through the examples of the generations that went before us, and the examples of our peers. And may we be people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to put these opportunities in front of us to serve others. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to make MCC a community that's at the forefront of that, calling people to this goodness, organizing around this goodness. Because, subhanAllah, as Shaykh Rami had said last week in his reflections of the hadith, Atadruna man al-Muflis, that there are things that we may do in our lives that can be detrimental and a cause for us to lose our actions, a cause for us to lose our righteous deeds. But if we're constantly focusing on this idea of how to ensure that those deeds are plentiful, and insha'Allah, one of those ways that we can multiply that is by being in the service of others. And really here, it's not asking, the effort is not much. It's a financial effort, yes, we understand that. And it's a time of financial difficulty. But this is how Allah has always tested the believers, right? This is how Allah has always tested the believers. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability, alhamdulillah, in this test to have a clarity. And I'm speaking to myself right now, to have a clarity, to understand that my giving in this month to organizations, my giving in this month is not a question. This is, mashallah, what a brother reminded me, my very early years of my Islam. He said that the ability to give, our ability to give in charity, well, first the Prophet ﷺ said, sadaqatul burhan, that charity is a proof of one's iman. And then I'll link that to what the brother said to me. He said, our giving, our charity in the month of Ramadan is not linked to the amount of funds in our bank account. Rather, it is linked to the iman in our hearts. Because whatever we have in our bank account, it doesn't matter. We may not give to our potential because of the state of iman in our hearts. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people, insha'Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people, alhamdulillah, that will give according to the iman in our hearts and not to the amount in our accounts. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this a reflection that was beneficial, insha'Allah, and motivates us, alhamdulillah, to go out and to, with a spirit of Ramadan, one that's giving, a gentle breeze, if you will, that benefits all, near and wide, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates for us the ability to serve by giving in this month in a way that, alhamdulillah, establishes an aada, establishes a habitual act of giving. And it's something that, again, this month has been incredible. Alhamdulillah, it's been a month that we have, are experiencing a Ramadan like no other, but yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not in any way, allowed that to be a cause of of not having the type of reflection on myself and my shortcomings in areas that I can improve myself. And insha'Allah has been something that's been beneficial to everyone as well too. So alhamdulillah, as I said, if there's anything that we have benefited from here, it is from Allah. I'm just echoing what I have learned from my teachers. If there's anything in this that has been, I apologize, for my shortcomings. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless the MCC community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all in the remaining days and nights of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of charity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of dhikr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of shukr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of sabr. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us a community of helpers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be people that will find all of this done with hearts of ikhlas. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of ikhlas. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of our teachers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them an immense reward. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cleanse all of us and renew our spiritual commitment. Allow us to renew our spiritual commitment in this month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to pour out His blessings and love and own His assistance to the MCC community, into its board, into its members. And may Allah make this the best Ramadan that we've ever experienced in our life. And may each one be better than the last one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.